Liam was a walking corpse in business casual, doomed to die beneath the endless but mocking sun before he could ever clear his debts. That was until he was promised reincarnation as the son of a powerful noble, a second chance in a new world of his choice. The mysterious man who appeared before him offered options: magic, robots, sword fights, or giant mechs. Naturally, Liam chose the Gundam-style world his friend Nid always ranted about. Until then, though, his life was a relentless grind. For nearly 10 years, Liam hadn't had a proper night's sleep, kept alive purely through spite, caffeine, and an unbreakable refusal to die before finishing his next miserable work shift. Every day, he endured incompetent bosses who screamed at him for problems he didn't even know existed. After another exhausting day of pointless blame, Liam dragged himself home, only to be greeted by M, who quickly filled him in on the latest development. Konami, their daughter, had spent the day begging for a dog after falling in love with a Shiba Inu at her friend's house. Half dead, but still emotionally functional, Liam hesitated, but when he peeked into Konami's room and saw her snuggled under her blanket clutching a plushie like an angel, his last brain cell made an executive decision. The next day, he took her to the pet store. She lit up like a Christmas tree on steroids, and though M was surprised he agreed, considering he was already working himself into an early grave, Liam didn't care anymore. He had entered tired but compliant dad mode, and if keeping his wife and daughter happy was what it took, then he believed he could survive anything. Unfortunately, the universe had been patiently waiting for that exact moment to body slam him into the abyss. At work, Liam's daily life was a sitcom, if sitcoms were horrifying nightmares stripped of laugh tracks. His boss, a man whose only notable achievements were avoiding work and collecting nightclub stamps, screamed at him for not submitting a report. Liam politely pointed out that he had submitted it on Thursday, but apparently his boss had been too busy losing brain cells at the club to notice. Somehow, this was still Liam's fault. Meanwhile, his coworkers climbed over him like rats on a sinking ship, stealing his ideas, dumping their failures on him, and treating him like a piece of furniture. Yet Liam endured. He was the human embodiment of duct tape, holding everything together while falling apart himself. Then life decided things were getting boring and spiced it up. One morning, Nid messaged him about the latest Gundam drop and begged him to pick up a kit. Exhausted but loyal, Liam agreed, hopped off the train, pulled out Google Maps, and got so lost he might as well have fallen into Narnia. While scanning the area for landmarks, he stumbled onto a horror show worse than any Gundam mishap. His wife, M, was on a date with another man in broad daylight, looking far too cozy. Liam blinked hard, wondering if it was just hallucinations from sleep deprivation. Maybe the guy was her cousin. Later that evening, M greeted him like nothing had happened, even lying straight to his face, claiming she had spent the day being Mother Teresa at Konami's sword practice. Liam almost confronted her, but, like an Olympic gold medalist in denial, swallowed it down. Surely he was mistaken. Surely M would never cheat. To clear his head, Liam revisited the scene of the crime. Smart idea? Wrong. Not only was M back at the same spot, but this time Liam overheard her giggling on the phone with the same man. And Konami was there too. Liam's heart nearly stopped when Konami called the man Papa. He could feel his soul trying to eject itself from his body. Still clinging to desperate hope, he rationalized that maybe they were role-playing. Maybe this was a bizarre, take your daughter to work day. Or maybe his life had become one long practical joke hosted by hidden cameras. But things only spiraled further at work. His computer froze, and his boss screamed at him for taking too long to log back in. When Liam explained that the machine couldn't go into standby because of security issues, the boss screamed louder, suggesting he just skip his breaks altogether. Human rights? Never heard of them. Right in the middle of this, M called with more wonderful news. Konami was in the hospital. Liam raced there like a man possessed, only to learn she was in surgery and needed a blood transfusion. The doctor asked for the parents' blood types. Liam said AB positive, M said O negative. The doctor nodded and chose M to donate because Konami was also O negative. Cue existential crisis. Liam, ever the scholar, quickly pulled up blood type inheritance on his phone and discovered the truth. There was no way an AB father and O mother could produce an O child. It was like trying to make lemonade out of steak and sadness. He finally confronted M, growing a spine after years of silent suffering. But she pulled out the ultimate reverse card. Gaslighting him so hard, the hospital lights flickered. She accused him of being the bad guy. How dare he question her when he was never around? Never mind that he was working himself into the dirt to keep a roof over their heads. M declared the marriage over. She was taking Konami, who wasn't even his biological daughter, and leaving. Konami, the little traitor, chirped that she liked her other papa better anyway. Broken, Liam stumbled back to work, where things somehow got worse. He was accused of embezzling 50 million yen from his own company, using his own computer, with evidence so blatant it might as well have come with a neon sign flashing, "Guilty." He was fired immediately. Then M sued him for child support, for a child that wasn't even biologically his. Unable to pay, Liam was forced into construction work, doomed to die beneath the endless but mocking sun before he could ever clear his debts. One day, when he coughed blood into his rice ball during lunch break, he knew it was the beginning of the end. That night, lying alone in his sad little room, Liam saw a light, not the warm fuzzy kind, but the ominous, "You're about to die, but here's a plot twist" kind. A mysterious, stylish, suspiciously cheerful man appeared before him and revealed the truth. Liam's boss was the real embezzler. M had been cheating with said boss, and together they had been plotting all along. To them, Liam was just a human ATM, a doormat to trample on. The man asked him, "So, are you just going to die like a chump?" Something inside Liam snapped. No, he would not die like a chump. He vowed vengeance with the force of 1,000 protagonists. The man, thoroughly entertained, offered him reincarnation, magic, robots, sword fights, giant mechs. Pick one. Liam chose the Gundam-style world Nid always ranted about. The mysterious man kept his promise, reincarnating Liam as the son of a powerful noble, no less than a count. Fast forward 5 years to planet Hydra, where baby Liam was living large. On his birthday, his parents threw a huge party, complete with presents. First came a build-your-own-made kit, complete with customization options and blurred-out parts, because nothing says happy childhood like questionable robot maids. Next, his father handed him a contract. "Sign this, and he'd inherit the entire estate." Starry-eyed and drunk on the promise of power, Liam grabbed the pen without reading the fine print, unknowingly signing away his soul, lunch money, and probably his future kids. His parents packed their bags for early retirement, sipping margaritas on the family fortune, while Liam stood there grinning ear to ear like the world's happiest idiot. He was officially a count now, and definitely, absolutely, 100% not about to get scammed again. From that moment, Liam made one thing clear: if anyone even thought about messing with him, he would make sure they regretted it permanently. And twisted as it sounded, he was genuinely grateful. Grateful to the strange man who had given him a second chance. Because right after Liam's soul was transported safely to the new world, the same mysterious guide wasn't finished. Turning his attention back to Liam's old world, he found M and Liam's boss living it up in a fancy restaurant. They were laughing, sipping wine, gorging on expensive food, celebrating Liam's downfall like a pair of cartoon villains. At one point, Liam's boss, cheeks red with booze and arrogance, chuckled and said, "You know, I almost feel bad for ruining that guy's life." M, dead-eyed and full of venom, sneered back, "Feel bad for him? Please. That idiot wasted 10 years of my life. He deserves to rot in hell." The mysterious man couldn't have asked for a better setup. At that exact moment, a battalion of police officers stormed the restaurant, surrounding them. Liam's boss, in a performance worthy of a world-class actor, protested, "This is a mistake. I'm a respectable businessman." But the officers didn't flinch. They had receipts, clear camera footage of him planting evidence and framing Liam in the embezzlement scheme. There would be no plea deal, no escape. His future was a cold, hard prison cell. As for M, with her sugar daddy hauled off in cuffs, she was left broke, humiliated, and utterly alone. No more fancy dinners, no more easy money. Just the creeping, miserable realization that she had backed the wrong horse. And the wrong horse had just won the karmic lottery. The guide, floating unseen above the chaos, soaked up the despair like it was fine wine. He smiled. Mission accomplished. Now the final piece. He turned his gaze back toward Liam. It was time to fully transport Liam's soul to the new world. But this wasn't some fairy tale reincarnation. Oh no. The guide intended for Liam to suffer even more in this new life, but slowly, deliciously, over centuries. After all, the people of that world had lifespans measured in hundreds of years. The stage was set. Meanwhile, on planet Hydra, the kingdom was under siege. A ghost pirate fleet had launched a brutal assault, and things looked grim for the local defense forces. The pirate captain was practically salivating, certain that victory was only minutes away. Then, boom, suddenly his men began blowing up, literally, as if some invisible hand was plucking them off the battlefield one by one. Through the smoke and chaos, the pirate captain spotted her, a lone figure floating menacingly above the battlefield. It was Christiana, first princess of the Holy Kingdom of Lei, clad in armor that shimmered like a blade under sunlight, an extraordinary fighter, a legend in her own right. Christiana's presence instantly shifted the tide of battle. With her leading the counterattack, the pirates were slaughtered without mercy, their dreams of victory crumbling into dust. Even as the surviving pirates tried to flee, Christiana coldly ordered her soldiers to pursue them, determined to make an example of these fools. Back to Liam. Far away from the blood and smoke of battle, Liam was living through a much smaller but still life-changing moment. He had just received his aid, a special gift from his parents for his birthday. It arrived in an elegant, doll-sized package. His butler, Brian, explained that all Liam needed to do was touch it. Curious, Liam placed his hand on the package, and in an instant, a figure gracefully landed before him, a beautiful maid with long silver hair and mesmerizing blue eyes. She bowed and introduced herself as Amagi, his personal AI aide. Brian explained further, Amagi could operate 24/7, requiring only weekly maintenance, and she was designed to assist Liam with any and all needs. But Liam wasn't listening. His focus had already locked on certain assets. Without shame, he immediately began inspecting her hands, hovering over them like a construction foreman checking a building's stability. Brian, visibly sweating, coughed and reminded him that such behavior was highly inappropriate, especially in public. Liam only grinned and invited Amagi to his room for a more thorough inspection. Hours later, Liam was blissfully relaxed as Amagi gave him a shoulder massage. Casually, he answered Brian's worried inquiries by saying, "Don't worry about it, I'm mentally 36. Brian nearly gasped aloud, informing him that even 36 was still considered a child in this world, since the average lifespan was around 600 years, and true adulthood didn't begin until at least 100. Liam was stunned, but he quickly realized this was amazing news. More years meant more time to live however he wanted, and more importantly, more time to surround himself with trustworthy allies, like Amagi. But then came the bombshell. After being ordered to tell the truth, Brian revealed that Liam's parents had abandoned him. They had dumped all the crushing debts of the Banfield family onto Liam's tiny 5-year-old shoulders and run for the hills to avoid responsibility. Apparently, Liam's great-grandfather, Alistair, had built the Banfield name into something respectable, but Liam's father, a man with the intelligence of a wet sponge, had squandered everything. The family's industries had collapsed, their frontier territories were barren, tax revenue had dried up, and the family owed a mountain of debt. In short, Liam was royally screwed. Meanwhile, in the local bar, the citizens of Hydra gossiped about their new lord, a mere 5-year-old boy. One man grumbled, recalling how the last lord had bled them dry with taxes, but still, they hoped, perhaps foolishly, that this time would be different. Back at the estate, Liam sat in stunned silence. His parents had a child just to dump the debt onto him. Again, he had been used, abused, and abandoned, just like in his previous life. But not this time. This time, he swore he would change everything. Liam asked Amagi to join him in forging a better future, and she eagerly agreed, thrilled to finally have a true purpose. For the first time, Liam felt like he had someone he could truly trust. Wanting to secure that trust, he created safeguards. The 3 laws of Amagi, Banfield Edition. 1. Never do anything that would harm Liam. 2. Always obey Liam's orders unless it would harm him. 3. Protect yourself if it doesn't conflict with the first 2 laws. With their alliance officially forged, Liam asked for ideas on how to save the Banfield domain. Amagi quickly suggested an education capsule, a high-tech device that could pump 10 years worth of education into his brain in only 6 months, while simultaneously enhancing his physical body. Liam loved the idea. But there was a problem. Who would manage the domain while he was asleep? The simple solution was to grant temporary authority to Amagi. Brian protested furiously. After all, AIs were widely hated in the Empire, remnants of the legendary Skynet war, where humanity had nearly been exterminated by rogue machines. But Liam didn't care. He trusted Amagi more than any human, and there was no law explicitly forbidding an AI from acting as a temporary steward. Before climbing into the pod, Liam had one last question. Amagi, can you feel emotions? She hesitated, but admitted that when Liam had asked her to team up with him, her memory logs had suffered a cache overflow, the AI equivalent of being so happy she crashed. With a smile, Liam stepped into the capsule, ready to gain the knowledge and power he needed to rebuild everything. This was only the beginning. This is the story of Haruki, a man who lived a hellish life for 39 long years. If life were a competition for who can suffer the most, Haruki would have walked away with a gold medal, a trophy, and probably a bouquet of rotten flowers. Throughout his existence, he endured sorrow, betrayal, and disappointment after disappointment. And then, as if the universe wanted to add one last insult, he was diagnosed with an incurable form of cancer. It was so unfair that even God himself came down, cleared his throat awkwardly, and apologized. After his death, Haruki's soul floated up to heaven like a man boarding a flight with no return ticket. God met him there, looking unusually guilty for, well, a god. He admitted that Haruki's life had been so miserable that even he felt bad about it. To make things right, He promised Haruki a new life and one wish. Haruki, instead of wishing for riches, fame, or a harem, as most reincarnated protagonists would, kept it simple. He just wanted to be reborn as a farmer in a peaceful place. God agreed but thought, wow, that's way too plain. I better throw in a bonus before he changes his mind. So he handed Haruki the ultimate freebie, the almighty farming tool, the most powerful piece of equipment in the universe. With a dramatic swing of his divine staff, God sent Haruki flying into a new world. Haruki opened his eyes and immediately noticed something shocking. His body was in perfect condition. For years in his old life, he couldn't even get out of bed without feeling like he'd been run over by a truck. Now he felt like he could probably wrestle a truck. The world around him was lush, filled with towering trees and vibrant greenery. It was exactly what he had asked for, except there was no one else around. He had wished for a place without civilization, but he hadn't meant completely deserted. Solitude was nice, but this was like moving into a mansion only to realize the Wi-Fi didn't work. Dressed in plain farmer's clothes, Haruki remembered God's parting gift. The almighty farming tool was shining like an overachieving Swiss Army, and it became impossible for players to log out, and our protagonist Shin kept fighting to beat this game. We then see Shin leaving to fight the final boss of the game, and his friends ask him to take care of himself. Afterwards, Shin fights the final boss, and he tries to take its head, but the final boss dodges and Shin only cuts off its wing, then regenerates its wing, and Shin keeps on attacking the final boss. After a long fight, he chips down almost all of its HP, and he takes out the final boss with one of his skills. He then hears an announcement telling him that the dungeon has been cleared and players can log out. Now Shin is happy that it's finally over, and he uses a scroll to check out if everyone is able to log out. He notices the names of the players disappearing from the scroll, and one by one all of the players log out of the game, and he is the only one left. He then tries to log out as well, but he notices a gate appearing behind him, and he thinks that there shouldn't be any more events in this game. Afterwards, Shin opens his eyes in a grassland, and he notices that this place looks too realistic to be a game. He tries to check the menu, and he notices that he can still pull up windows.